What is up, my lovely people in Blue Tablet Land? So for today's video, guys, I'm going to be drawing you all this sleepy looking mad scientist. If that's something you guys are into, stick around and let's get started. Well, if you guys didn't catch it already with my rather grouchy intro, I have a issue with my throat, so I'll try my best to get this recording out as best I can, guys. But in case I have to stop, and I'm just giving you a heads up as to why. So as usual, I started out by drawing the eyes, and this character was a fun character that I had done a while ago, and it was just something random, like when my daughter and I were sitting in the living room and just BSing and just talking, and I just had my pen and a rough notepad at the time. So I drew this similar character, but in place of his hair, I drew a flower coming out. And she was like, "What is the flower what's with the flower?" So I told her, I said, maybe he's thinking some gardener thoughts. So that's the process behind it. So I was like, let me borrow his face, and because he could definitely pass for a mad scientist, so that's how I came about with doing the character. And you can see his bucked looking teeth, which is like which I think right there is a built-in funny situation waiting to happen. It's not a thing you would normally laugh out intentionally, but it is a little humorous when you see it for the very first time. So a big part about when I made this playlist originally back in, I think, Jan of this year, I usually like to make things, especially when it comes to a playlist, on a topic that I can actually talk about, And I think just having a plain draw with me or how to draw kind of video gets boring, because, eventually the viewer can actually see what's going on. So, you can actually follow along. But I think when you have a story built in as to why is it the reason you picked to create this character, I think that definitely makes the drawing experience more fun with, especially like now with the playlist I've got. So far up until now, you've seen that I've picked a lot of different characters and props. So that makes it or breaks it, I think, personally. So initially, before I was going to start this voiceover today, I tried to edit out, those silly hand movements and moving the canvas around, which is not really too important for the video, as opposed to teaching the actual followers and viewers. I was like, let me see if I can help with that and make my video a whole lot simpler to record, but it just got too long and boring after a while. So as you can see over here now, for the color, I chose this greenish color for the actual, some sort of a serum. I have some light green for the bubbles, and then choose a little bit of blue for the actual test tube. And then for his, let's see, what did I pick? Yes, the yellow for the eyes. Something about the yellow, I think it looks really creepy and cool, but that's just my thing. Some white for the actual shine in the pupil, and then some sort of yellowish gray color for his, like a darkish green almost for his face. So it ties in with the whole green serum, like he's become a little bit light green from having that. And then for his body, I figured, touching out the green stuff. And then for the actual coat that he's wearing, I figured I'd give it a creamish color for off-white. Well, for the teeth also, pretty much the same color. So that way, when you do some shading on it, it shows. White is definitely one color where when you do shading, there's only so much you can do or show some highlights or shadows, because obviously the highlights will not show up, but the shadow is really minimalistic. Some same yellow for the actual buttons. And now for the actual shading. If you're somebody new over here, I mean, I'll just go over it quickly, is I choose the line art that I've done, and then I make a new layer and turn the opacity down to about 30%. And the main thing is you got to create this layer above the actual flat layer. So what ends up happening is you end up getting a natural shadow over the color that's there on the flat color layer. And what's really cool about this technique of shading is if you ever decide to change out the flat colors, which is the color without any shadowing or highlights, you can just go to the selected layer and just change it out, and you don't really have to mess with the whole changing out of the shadows. Now, I have tried both techniques where I've done it where, I tried this technique, and then I also follow the technique what I used to do, which is, just manually selecting the darker shade of that color. And as I said, the only benefit to doing it this way, or the biggest benefit to doing it this way, is if you decide you want to change colors. But now with the old way, what I used to do, I mean, it's just so much time. And I guess it mainly depends on your time availability and what you're really doing it for. So now here for the highlights, as usual, I chose white and just turned down the opacity to about 70%, which I think is the best way to show highlights. I mean, if you keep it at 80, it kind of just looks like a white blotch. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, the highlights and the shading is pretty much up to your discretion and how you want to do it. But yeah, gosh, this video has been really tough to record today because of my throat, but so far so good. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and wrap this video up by saying thank you to all my followers and the new people that have stayed on board or come on for this video. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.